Hey, what is up, everybody? Steviebreech coming to you. I just wanted to give my quick thoughts and reactions on the 2011 WWE Draft. Overall, it was a good show. I love the fact that they used wrestling matches to determine who's going to go to each show. It is probably the most in-ring action we've seen on Monday Night Raw in a long time. And a lot of the matches that we get to see are matches that we've never seen before, with guys from Raw and guys from SmackDown that just don't ever pair up. I thought that was very, very good. Um, the one thing I didn't understand was the John Cena switch. Switching him to SmackDown would have been good, but drafting him twice in the same show and sending him to Raw um, sort of just made me understand that the WWE Draft isn't that important. You know, it just moves a couple guys here and there that have been on a show too long and they don't have anything to go for them anymore. They need fresh opponents, they need fresh faces, and keeping them on the same show and just moving a couple guys over that way isn't going to be able to keep them, occupied for a whole year. You knew Cena was the main event. You know, like he's the main guy in WWE. You know that they're not going to take him off Monday Night Raw, but when they did it, they sort of made it look like they were actually going to push SmackDown maybe as the main branch, or maybe try to get it up. I don't think that SmackDown will be taken legitimately, and more people will watch it until they make it a live show. I think that's the most important thing they need to do. I don't think there's any plans for that in the future, but when the results are posted online on Tuesday, most people talk about it on YouTube throughout the week. Once Friday rolls around, if they haven't downloaded the overseas feed, I don't think they're going to watch it at all, which is a lot of people do. I record it on my DVR and I watch it, when I get a chance. Sometimes it's Sunday night, but most of the time, if I don't watch it by Monday, I just delete it and I just find the clips off of YouTube that I need to watch. When Randy Orton got drafted over to Raw, I noticed when Randy Orton got drafted over to SmackDown, I noticed that all the reactions of everybody in the back, and I didn't really understand them. Like when John Cena got drafted to SmackDown, that's huge. It made it look like the SmackDown was actually going to be the main brand of the company, so I can understand everybody in the back being cool, whether they're heels or whether they're faces. But once they drafted Randy Orton over to SmackDown, everybody still popped like they won bragging rights or something like that. They popped like this was something that actually really mattered. But to me, if I was a guy that was on the mid card trying to break into the main event, I'd be pissed because you're sort of seeing the fact that you're never going to see the main event on SmackDown if they have those two guys there, which didn't make sense. Other years in the past when they've used the reactions in the back, they normally separated people where they're heels and then where they're faces. And if you're a face, you're normally pretty excited. When they're a heel, you give your true, honest reaction of what's going on. So I didn't understand whoever was in charge of telling the people in the back to give their reactions to what was going on. That didn't really make sense to me. So just running down the picks. Overall, I already sort of gave my reactions to John Cena switch. Rey Mysterio being moved to Raw, I'm really down on that. The last time Mysterio was on Raw, he didn't really do anything. All I can really remember was his feud with Kane and then his feud with the injured reserve where he got hurt. So Rey Mysterio, I'm not looking for much on Raw. They've tried this experiment once and it didn't work. I'm pretty sure they moved back to SmackDown at his first opportunity. Randy Orton, be great to see him on SmackDown. He's just a guy that, to me, just is boring. I don't get it, but he has a lot of fans. So hopefully he can move those fans over to SmackDown and help out and get more of a rating over there. Mark Henry, this is a guy that just really doesn't matter either. He's a guy that is on his last leg. I think he's just done about everything he can do in the WWE. He's never going to be considered a main eventer. I think that he does have a good storyline they could use if they use it going over there to SmackDown. Not only did he attack Christian and help them lose the main event, but he lost the show John Cena, which I hope is going to be the main storyline that they're going to use on SmackDown. Is that we could have had John Cena and Mark Henry is the guy that lost him for us. So I hope that everybody will be pointing fingers at Mark Henry when he makes his appearance, whether it's Friday night or in the future. I think that's the main storyline that SmackDown should be using to get Mark Henry over. I'm not sure if they're going to do it or not. Most people were just shocked that they would use the draft to move somebody like Mark Henry. They snuck Sin Cara in there on us. It's good that he has a home. I think he would have been a Raw superstar on the main brand if he wouldn't have been botching so bad. He's just gonna have to learn the WWE style. He doesn't have to go 100 miles an hour all the time. He can slow it down and hit his spots. That's what they told Sabu when he was there in ECW. Just slow down, make sure you hit your spots, and you're going to be fine. Sin Cara seems like he's going, just 100 miles an hour all the time, and he can do entertaining and just jaw-dropping stuff, but he probably has too much pressure on him right now to live up to the hype that WWE gave him, and that's probably where he's at. Moving Big Show over to Raw. He's just a guy that hopefully they can find a storyline for. He's always a great guy, but he always gets lost in the shuffle. When they put his picture up on there, I sort of had to remember that he was the tag champion and wonder why they didn't move Kane. They've always had the storyline where the tag champions can work both shows, so I guess they don't have to break him up if they don't want to. But I am looking for Kane to be moved in the supplemental draft, which is today. Alberto Del Rio being moved to Raw, which is a big surprise. I'm very glad to have him over on Raw on the main show that I know I'm going to watch every week. He is an entertaining superstar, great wrestling guy, and I really hope this doesn't mean that he's not going to win the title on Sunday. A lot of people were saying Christian was a lock. They could always work a storyline where two belts are on one show. It wouldn't be the best idea, but it would get them closer to the thing that they were trying to do. The storylines before WrestleManias, months before WrestleManias, even like back in Halloween and Thanksgiving time, was that the WWE wanted to go with just one belt. They didn't want to have two titles for each show. They wanted to unify a title, have one champion that would go back and forth. They were thinking that would help the ratings of SmackDown. It wouldn't be looked as the B show anymore if they had the champion on there. So maybe they still could do that. Supplemental draft is going to be here pretty soon. If anything really big happens, I'll give you my results on that. But for now, honestly, I don't think the draft is honestly that important. You can tell with my reactions to the John Cena thing. But if you look at last year's draft, people made a big deal about Edge and Chris Jericho being moved over. When you look at it, neither of those guys really had the greatest time on Raw. They weren't used heavily in the main event at all. They were used in a couple. They weren't using like solos. They were using like fatal four ways and stuff like that. So, all in all, the only championship that was, the only champion that was moved in the draft last year was Rey Mysterio, who won it at fatal four way from Jack Swagger. Had a couple month-long run before he handed it over to Kane. So, that is my reactions, and hopefully we move on from here.